All right, so I pasted in a question at the top there, so it should be a good warm-up question. We have 3 questions I think we're hopefully can get through in this hour.
Okay.
So basically, we can just start off. You want to read that at the top there. Make sure you understand it. Ask me any questions you have as you go, and we'll try to solve it.
Sure. Okay. When it says magazines, it means data structures containing a certain number of characters.
So yeah, the input's going to be 2 strings. So an example could be you'll get something like this as the ransom note, and then we'll say the magazine looks like this. And this we will say returns true. So that's, if you need any more examples, feel free to write some examples in there, so that way we're on the same page. I know you understand the question. Sure. Edge cases, whatever you may have.
All right. Do you want me to write it as just a main function or a specific function?
Yeah, write a function, so it'll return true, false.
Okay. It's fine.
And you're doing C or C++?
Probably C++.
Okay.
This CodePile lumps them into, they're both in the same category. So, okay. Let's see. Okay, so the way I'm thinking of going about this, since each letter can only be used one time, in the note, if it finds, so my function is going to basically iterate through the note and try to compare it to the magazine, and if the letter is in there, take it out of the magazine.
Okay, yeah, that's a way to do it, sure.
So it eliminates the possibility of double counting.
Yeah.
Okay. Have to remember.
Don't worry too much about the syntax. Just as long as I know what you're going for, that's all that matters.
Okay.
I think it is note.length I think it has this, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And it could be, maybe it's note.size. I think that's vectors, but regardless, I know what you're going for, so you're good.
Yes. Okay. Oh, oops. I'm just gonna, so you know what I'm. I have to keep track of if it's still.
Alright, so you're comparing. Got some
Yeah.
background noise. Did you get like
Yes, I have a heater next to me. Do you want me to shut it off?
Yeah, if you don't mind, yeah, it's a little tough to
Sure.
hear you.
Okay, it should turn off in like 30 seconds.
Okay, so right now you're comparing node and index with magazine at another index.
Yeah. And I just have to keep track so that it doesn't go through an iteration and there's no comparison and it just keeps going. Because if there's no comparison, then it's gonna return false. So
Okay.
again, I forget what the syntax is,
What are you
but
trying to do?
I'm trying to make it so that when this is true, it just goes to the next iteration of this loop. Like it more or less
You could just do
quits this
continue.
loop. Just continue.
Yeah, that'll go to the next one.
Okay.
If it doesn't, then that's what I'm almost positive that's right. So.
Okay. Well, you know what I mean.
Yep. Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking. So more or less, the way I want to go about it is if it can find every... Oh, hold on. I forgot this. I'm going to assume you know what I mean when I say that.
Yep. I was going to ask if you're going to remove it. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so remove an index, sure. That works with me. Okay. So
there are definitely more efficient ways to do this.
Right, yeah, we just want to get the first, brute force solution. So what would be, I think this is good. I think actually, you know what? Look at run through this example on line 11 I put in there, and let's run through it and see what happens.
Line 11, okay. Let's see. So if the note's 3 A's and the magazine's 4 A's.
Yep.
So first line is on the first A.
Yep.
Now J is on this A. If they match, which they do, it's going to remove that A, skip to the next A in note. So now they're both exactly the same. They're both 3 A's. The second A in note is now being compared to the first index 1 of note is being compared to index 0 of magazine.
Yep.
Which is now also an A.
Right.
So it sees those are equal, removes that A. So now we have note is 3 A's and magazine is 2 A's. So now we're at index 2 in note. It compares itself to index 0 of magazine, sees they're both A's, removes it. That loop ends. And then the upper loop here, since now we're at the end of the array, that ends too.
Right. Okay. So now what about this? That look good too?
It should, yeah.
So what do you expect this to return?
I expect it to return true because as it goes through, as you iterate through note, it should find 3 A's somewhere in magazine. Remove the 3 and then it's basically finished.
Why don't you manually run through the first iteration and tell me what happens?
Okay. So index 0 of note is an A. Index 0 of magazine is, oh, you're right. Good call. Gotta put this somewhere else. Let's see. So if I was trying to avoid having to have like a Boolean variable that's like, oh, is has
Yeah, you
found,
know what?
but
For now,
that
I
might
think
help.
because we're gonna optimize this, so why don't you just put that in there really quick in the code, and then we can move on to a little more optimal solution.
What's it called?
Don't worry.
Let's call it checking. Let's see. False here. I'll do it like this. Let's see.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should work.
So based on the logic you gave, that's great. So from this sort of brute force solution, what's going to be the runtime here? And let's assume that this is the ransom node is n, size n, and the magazine is size m.
So it's going to be n times m.
Right. And then what about space?
Space. Is it n plus n? No. It's
So for this one, the space is actually constant. It's O1.
It's constant?
time. Yep, the constant space,
Okay.
because
See,
you have the only variable you're adding here is just this one little Boolean, right? So
Okay.
nothing on over n or m for that matter. So, if you had a hash map in there or something like that, then that would increase that. It's on order n m. So, but in this case, yeah, constant time. So this is good. So now off this, let's make another one. Let's think. Can you think of any way to speed this up a little bit?
So, like you said, I think a hash map would be a better idea than just for loops. So you can sort of index every letter you have in the magazine into a hash map, and then just access based on that, because you'll know, even if you have duplicates of a letter, you can see how many you have, and so you're still accessing, searching, and removing letters, so to speak, but it's organized a little bit better than having to just go straight through.
Okay. Do you want to try to code that one up?
Yeah, I can try it.
Well, actually, you know what? For the sake of time, let's jump into a new question. But you're right. So hash map was definitely the kind of catch there. So you basically just want a counter of each of these, like you said. And then, just for the sake of time, the next question we ask, we can run into that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, overall, pretty good. You came to this solution is pretty good, I'd say. For the first pass, right? It's never great to use continues and flags and things like that, but based on the brute force, I think the only other way to do it would be to keep track of indices and make an array of those. So I think overall it's pretty good. And then you got to the hash map sort of speed up solution pretty quick. So yeah, overall pretty good. The only thing I would say is a part of a part to improve on would be just the syntax. I know I said I don't really care, but some companies they want you to, if you choose to program in C++, for example, they're going to want you to be a master at it, at least syntactically.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, honestly, I don't even think you have any syntax errors. This remove might be wrong, but yeah, overall, I'd say good job. All right, so we'll get started with the next one in just a second. All right.
Sure.